is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday morning. I'm so excited to be here as usual. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, but that's okay. Don't worry, it's not COVID. It's allergy season, so yeah, you can hear I'm a little stuffed up. So today we're going to continue our leadership training in the communication portion of this in bank code. And bank code, as I'll just quickly review, is a personality typing coding methodology, kind of like a personality assessment that you would take, whether it's color code, disc, other ones that I'm sure you've taken that tell you about yourself, right? So why bank is so unique is because it's reverse engineered to teach you how to learn and speak the values of those around you so you can communicate not only more effectively, but close more sales and have deeper, richer relationships with your clients and those that you interact with. So it actually gives you the tools to learn how to speak people's language of getting out of your own head and into theirs, so that the conversation can be something that's more productive and there's more understanding on both ends. So in the first 3 segments we did in this, our leadership training every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. here on the Diamond Show with Barbara Beckley, was the blueprint. That was the person who was very structured, loves systems and processes, doesn't like risk very much, very much has to be prepared for everything. Don't spring a surprise party on a blueprint, basically. The next code is the A, which stands for action. So these are your movers, your shakers, your millionaire makers, people who love to be exciting and love opportunities. They love competition and winning. I'm a 3-time world champion martial artist. What do you think my first code is? Right. It's action. So, and then the next week we did nurturing, which is the person who is, think of the color orange, yellowy orange, kind and loving. They're like the sunshine in your life. They love to connect and be a part of a community. They love to feel included in things. And their currency isn't necessarily in money. It's probably more in relationships. So they can also be your best referral source. The one thing about the nurturer, though, is you have to be completely authentic with them. So if they sense there's any kind of weirdness or, you're not being real with them, they are out of there. They will have nothing to do with you. So you have to be real and authentic with them and mean what you say. And then the last one, which we're going to cover today, is the knowledge personality type. Now, the knowledge personality type is a really interesting person because there's some of the smartest people that I know. So the color we associate with that is green. So I want you guys to think about, Microsoft Excel spreadsheets or The Matrix, the movie, the green coming, the numbers coming down, numbers and letters coming down the screen, right? So, people who are into IT and innovation, those kind of things. That's where you're going to find the case. So they're the ones with the intelligence, to make green technology a reality, right? They can figure out how to turn a car that runs on gasoline, to run on electricity, which they've done. And they're, responsible for many amazing breakthroughs in technology and science. So, when I was talking about each code, I gave you guys a box analogy. And the box analogy for the blueprint was completely inside the box. They play by the rules. The action is the opposite of that. They're completely outside the box. They have no rules. And then the nurturer recycles the box. Okay, so you could see how they all have very different sets of values and points of view about things. Well, the knowledge is none of those things. They're neither inside nor outside nor recycle the box. They probably engineered the box. Okay, so that gives you a little bit of a different perspective and view about, the knowledge personality type. So, knowledges tend to be challenging and intimidating. And I've seen this time and again. Now, knowledge can be my second or my third code. So I understand this. So for other personality types, presenting or connecting with a knowledge personality type can be challenging and intimidating because they really are smart, right? And they want to be interacting with people who are at the same intelligence or expertise level as they are. So because of the amount of information and specificity of that info, the knowledge personality type needs to make a buying decision. And other personality types are, rarely successful, not only selling to them, but creating that trusted partner relationship. Because a lot of the time, when you're working with a knowledge, they have analysis paralysis. And what that means is they're going to be the person who asks you 50 questions, and it's going to drive you crazy. You're going to think, what's this person's problem, right? Actually, they don't have a problem. They're just trying to make a decision, and they keep asking you questions because they don't have enough information. And really, that's it. Okay? So you need to make sure that they've got enough information that they can make a decision. That's when you're going to have a sale or start to build that relationship, with the knowledge, and have like-minded interests. Or if they're not your code, you have to be able to speak on like-minded interests. So make sure that you educate yourself before having that conversation with them. So let's go through some of the values. So the first one obviously is learning. So they love to learn because they love to learn. If you've got something that's information based, they're totally going to be fascinated. And you better know what you're talking about because they're going to expect you to. Now, the other thing too is you got to make sure if you're not feeling like you're up to snuff or you're still learning, or you have someone else who could be seen and more as the expert in your field, don't get your egos involved here, guys. Make sure you go for the person who's got more knowledge. The knowledge personality type you're interacting with will appreciate it, okay, and you will get kudos for that, okay. So the second one is intelligence. So the entire world of the knowledge personality type centers on intelligence, right? They're very smart, right? So when selling to them, recognize their intelligence and sell to it. Don't run from it in fear. It's not an intimidation thing. So when I'm working with a knowledge, I'll just say, look, it's clear you've done your research and you have a lot of knowledge about the subject. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to contribute today, but I do this. And here's a little explanation of why I think this would, add to what you already know, right? So it's simply acknowledging them, but letting them know that there's more to learn, and they'll be all in, I'm telling you. Logic. So this is really also another base value. If things don't make sense, it's not happening, right? So, whether you're selling to them or trying to create that trusted partner relationship, if your process around your sales presentation or what you're offering them or the conversation that you're having doesn't make sense, you're going to lose them, right? Because to them, it just doesn't, it's not logical, right? And that's the key of where everything comes from with them. The next is self-mastery. So the knowledge personality type takes things to a new level of perfection in everything they do. Like you've heard about perfectionists, right? Like I have a bit of that. It's a bit of a complex, right? So, but it's like they live by it. And so this is where that analysis paralysis starts to set in, right? I don't know if I can make the decision because I don't have enough info. And I want to make sure that I don't make a mistake by doing this because I don't have enough info. So there's layers to that, right? It's not just the one, like, they're giving me a hard time or they're not sure. Like they've already worked it out in their mind. Like, do I know enough here? Have I learned enough? So you got to keep that in mind when you're talking to them. So for example, if they're studying martial arts, which I've done for over 30 years, so you can see that I have a K, in my second or third code. Okay, it is there. They won't stop at yellow belt. They'll take it all the way to black belt. For instance, I have a 4th degree black belt. I was pretty much on my way to 5th, right, in one art, and I am a grandmaster in the other art, which is more Filipino-based, weapons-based, right? And I'm always learning. Like you never just stop because you have rank, right? So there's always more to learn from other people, which is what I love about it. It never, ever stops, right? So, but to me, I'm able to pass on a lot of that to my students because I feel I've got enough knowledge and I've been able to be innovative about the way I pass it on to my students, reading their codes, understanding how they learn and how to communicate better with them, okay? So for instance, when you're talking to them and maybe you've got a product that they've done a lot of R&D on, make sure you highlight that, okay? Or a white paper or some sort of research to back up what you're talking about. So the next value is technology. So Ks are passionate about technology and on the cutting edge of the future. Use current technology when you're selling to them. So in bank, we have an artificial intelligence scripter that we use. It's innovative, it's cutting edge, and it makes our lives so much easier. Whether I'm spending, I could be spending hours trying to figure out somebody's profile, or I could just plug it into the artificial intelligence and it's going to tell me in less than 90 seconds. Okay. Or, 10 seconds or whatever it is. So it's really important that you be able to back up the claims of what your products, service, or offerings do. Okay. Science is concrete. Again, we go back to the logic, right? They want to knowledge want to understand how everything works and why. And not just that, but they want to find a better way. So they're looking beyond what is already there to see what the other possibilities of that could be, right? They're innovative. Remember? We'd be stuck in the Stone Ages if it weren't for them, to be honest. We'll probably still be driving those Fred Flintstone cars. Did everybody remember that? Maybe some of you don't, but I know a lot of us do. If you can bring any scientific data, like I said, a white paper to your presentation, they're going to listen to you because they know that you've done your research, okay? Another value, which is really interesting here, is universal truth. So universal truths are concepts and ideas that apply to all things. For example, gravity on Earth is a universal truth, right? So no matter where you are on the globe, gravity exists. If you have a product or service that conforms to a universal truth, knowledge personality types will choose it, okay? Universal truths are logical. This is the third time I've gone back to that. So you see where this is going, right? On the other side of the spectrum, they'll also be fascinated by products that defy universal truths because they're curious and their brain is trained to investigate how and why it's happening. So for instance, something that defies gravity would be fascinating to them. How does that work? How did you get to that? What happened there, right? And the next value is expertise. So if you're an expert on a subject, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? Ks want information from you. If you're only the salesperson and you have your designated spiel, you're in deep trouble, right? So they really do want to know. And by the time a knowledge personality type has reached you, they've researched your products. They know what they want. They've looked at your company. They know the questions to ask. And they probably know more, if not as much, if not more than you about your product, because they put some time into making the decision there. Again, if they don't have enough info, they go into analysis paralysis. You don't want that, okay? So take an expert with you, invest the time and learn details about your product that allow you to speak to your knowledge prospects language, okay? Number 10 is competence, and this ties in with expertise. If you're giving a product demo or having a conversation or building a relationship, and you don't have answers, or you don't know how to operate something, or you don't know how something works, you've literally broken that vinegar bottle in the cryptex. And I think I talked about this earlier, right? So I don't know if you guys remember that movie with Tom Hanks, where they had the cryptex and the little note was in it. And to get to the note, you had to turn it so it was the exact code, right? And then you could open it up. But if you didn't have the exact code and you tried to open it up, there was a tiny little bottle of vinegar in there that would crack, and it would wet the paper and the ink would disappear. The vinegar would just dissolve the ink, right? So you don't want that to happen when you're talking to your prospects, okay? Know what you're doing and how you're going to do it. Accuracy is the next one here. And it's really interesting because my husband is high K. He's high knowledge. And if I say something, even, it drives me nuts, I'm telling you. If I say something that's even, one thing off, like I'll say, okay, so maybe, it's going to be 12 hours till that happens. He's like, no, 11 hours. So to me, that drives me nuts. To him, he's just making sure I have the correct information. So he corrects me. So I tell him, I'm like, stop doing that, right? He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, why do you do that? He goes, because you had the wrong information. That's literally what he said to me. So it wasn't about trying to, upset me or correct me. I just said the wrong thing. And he wanted to make sure I was giving the right information. Again, you have to get out of your head and into theirs. So it wasn't really about me, wasn't making a stab or a dig at me. He just wanted me to have the right information, right? So make sure that you keep that in mind when you're talking to the K, because they can push your buttons if that kind of thing annoys you, right? So while, excuse me, Ks will dissect everything that you say, validating its accuracy. While personality types may notice a typo in your presentation and ignore it, the Ks will always illuminate it. I had some lady, I did a presentation, it was like 20 slides. And after the presentation, she didn't say much, but she said, well, I noticed that you had a misspelling in this word on slide number 12. And I'm like, that's all you got out of that whole thing? So she may have got more, but she wanted to make sure that my presentation was correct for people. So to her, that's caring about things, right? Like caring about what I do, right? But most people would be like, that's all you got for me? Like, she wasn't feeding my ego. She wasn't saying, great job. She's like, you had an error in screen number 12. You might want to correct that. Right? And I'm thinking, who does that? Right? But that's the way the knowledge personality types work. And you can't take it personally because it's not about you. Right? So, they're not trying to be difficult or arrogant. It's just simply who they are. They must have accurate information to make buying decisions. Sorry. And they assume that you want your information to be accurate as well. And that's really the bottom line. Okay. So then we come to value number 12, which is kind of cool. It's the big picture of things, right? So the strength of the knowledge's contribution to the world hinges on their need to see the big picture. And I feel like a lot of us, especially in our business, need to step back and have that big view of the big picture to really see not only where we are in our business, but what might be stopping us and where we're going, right? Because all of those things are really important. So they must know the overall goal and purpose before they can be laser focused on the execution details. So don't dive down into the weeds until you've taken an overview of what's going on. Okay. So when you learn to speak to the values of the knowledge personality, they'll respect you and give you their time. You'll stand apart from almost everyone. Okay. They've previously done business with who wasn't also a knowledge. Excuse me. Honor your intelligence and they will respect you. When you successfully speak and sell to one knowledge personality type, you open the door to opportunity with many others. And I can literally speak to this because I had knowledge clients that I used to work with. And I didn't realize they were knowledge at the time. One was a knowledge, one was a blueprint. And they would argue all the time because one wanted to be correct all the time and the other needed the process around it and the system. And, there was a lot of clashing going on. But what happened was I could see the writing on the wall when we were dealing with certain clients, and I let the K know that, the person who was the K. And so they just kind of took it in. They didn't say anything. And, things ran its course. And then I think it was 2 months later, they came back to me and said, you were absolutely right. They're just not working out. They're toxic. We had to get rid of them. I mean, they're a nightmare. And we were talking about a person they were dealing with. But I could see the writing on the wall. But for them, they needed to go through the process of actually seeing everything happen so that they could make a decision. They didn't have enough information. I realize that now. So I should have probably been giving them more information, so that they could make a quicker decision, right? But honestly, that's how the knowledge personality types work. And, and then from then on, it was like I floated on water with this person because I could foresee what was going to happen, right? And she went and recommended me to everybody else. So what I'm saying is don't be intimidated by the Ks. You just need to give them as much information as they need. And honestly, it's going to work to your favor. And admit when you don't know something. That's what they need to hear too, right? But I'm willing to get someone who does because I know that you need to know blah, right? So it's just all about that. Last point before we just finish up this morning is remember one thing about the knowledge personality types. They're not big huggers, okay? So you definitely don't want to be going in for the hug. We all know those people when you go in for the hug and they like kind of shrink away and they give you the finger touch on the back. Okay, we all know those people, right? They're probably Ks. Okay, and as kids, they were the ones who loved to read, didn't necessarily have a lot of friends because, they were okay on their own. They were probably made fun of, they were geeky, they loved science, so when you're working with the knowledge personality type, just know that they're not necessarily that great with people, right? So when you're introduced to them, hand them a business card. They don't really necessarily like contact, bodily contact. So you can hand them a business card. You can nod at them. You could give them, the Star Trek Spock sign, whatever you want to do. But don't go in for the handshake or the hug because that's going to make them really uncomfortable. Let them let you know what they need, okay? And so be open to hearing and listening to that. So that's all I've got for you guys today. We finished up all 4 personality types. So next week, we're going to move on to how to be more visible in social media groups. And this is going to be kind of an overview, for your leadership and the whys of that as a leader. not only to gain followers, but to make sure that your message is getting out there, educating people and not just selling something, right? Because it's really important that we offer value to people all the time. Yeah, so that's it for me. You can check me out on at leadershipwithlaura.com or email me at laura@leadershipwithlaura.com. Hey, check me out on Clubhouse. I have a room called Leadership Warriors. Make sure that you like and join our room. We have great topics every week on leadership. And if you don't think you're a leader, I got news for you. You are absolutely a leader. If you're talking to other human beings, you're a leader. Okay? A leader means that you're being listened to and that you're listening. Okay? So make sure that you check me out. Join me on Clubhouse. Make sure that you follow me. I'll follow you back. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have an awesome week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school. No easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed and And I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students accepted by someone who without Mrs. B might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Good morning. How are we doing? Yes. It is Thursday. Can you believe it is Thursday? It's like every time I get to Thursday, I'm like, it's another week past. We're towards the end of August. And you have been watching the Diamond Factor Experience Show with Barbara Beckley and guests and wonderful experts. And one of the wonderful experts is no other than Laura Armstrong, her beautiful, tremendous, awesome self. And she teaches us every week about communication and leadership. She is so right. If you are talking to somebody, if you're giving advice, if you're just there just to be, that person with your genius and expertise and uniqueness, you're a leader. A lot of people feel like you have to have that title, said, well, okay, I'm a manager, I'm this. No. Totally not true. Totally not true. I feel like I was just thinking about when I was very young. I know I'm going way back. When I was around 7 and I was outside, that's when I learned how to ride my bike finally. Thank God to my dad. Praise the Lord with that. Because that's like a whole nother story of me learning how to ride a bike. But my dad was very patient. Patience is a good skill to have too, just to let you know for leadership. So I learned how to ride my bike, and then I had the friends around the house and everything. And I was getting all excited because I was like, okay, now I know how to ride a bike and ride with all my friends, because they all knew how to ride a bike already. I didn't know. So I know how to get myself together. I was last of the Mohicans, as they said. So as soon as I called up my friends and, they came over and everything, they said, okay, we're going to go here and here. And I was like, no, we're not going to go there. We are going to the other park because they have more things to play on and this and that. Start of a leader. I was already voicing my opinion, telling people where to go, how to go, and when to go. The funny part about that story is we still went to the other part that they wanted to go to and not the one that I wanted. But, that's a whole other story, too. Sometimes in leadership, maybe you might be wrong. Sometimes people are not going to always be there to, be like, yay, Barbara, you got to rethink things and re-examine what you're saying. So the whole team can be involved. So see, at the age of 7, already learning how to lead and communicate and all that. So Laura is getting us, because this is a continuation of life. And I keep telling people, you're always going to be communicating. You're always going to have leadership skills, and they combine. It's not like, okay, I got leadership skills and communicate. It combines, because you got to communicate when you're leading, and when you lead, you got to communicate, right? It makes sense. And then knowing the personality is just like that secret sauce. Just like Laura said about her husband. Believe me, Laura, I understand about understanding with your husband and but like you said, you got to push yourself out a little bit and say, okay, let me get a bigger picture out of here and be the bigger person. There's been a lot of times where I just was like, I'm going to shut my mouth because I know what kind of bank code he is. So I'm like, because he's a knowledge person. The first thing is K, and I'm like, this drives me crazy. And when Laura mentioned about the PowerPoint, oh, yes, been there, done that. Through the whole, I'm thinking I'm just rocking the presentation. Towards the end, one lady gets up. well, you should have had a lowercase I instead of a capital I in it. Really? So out of all that 20 minutes, that's all that you looked at, that you was zooming in on is that uppercase I. That was just killing you. But yeah, knowledge people, they are really, so you have to make sure. See, after that happened, I said, okay, but it helped me out because every time I did a presentation, I had a PowerPoint, I would always double, triple check the wording and because I know someone in the crowd is going to spot it out. Either they're going to tell you by messenger or they're going to tell you out loud. And that's what they do. That's just knowledge people. But you got to give them credit. At least they're looking at the details. And that's why you want them on your team, because they do look at those type of details more. So if you're an action person, you might not look at all the details. So it saves you. So when you have a different mixture of the personality of bank, not the PT because Laura teach the best of this, but she has taught me about this so much. That's why I love her for it, because I really love the bank concept, because it's been helping me out. Even I'm learning how to crack the code myself sometimes, because when you just listen. See, the biggest thing is just listen to people, and right there you can figure out what kind of code they are. Just if they keep talking, you be like, okay, they're kind of blueprint, or if they got on you about time, they're definitely a blueprint. It's like, okay, you were 2 seconds late, Barbara. What's going on? You a blueprint. Okay, I'll do that. Or they want to hug and just be there and hold your hand. I'm like, okay, you're nurturing. I know you're nurturing because you just want to hug me all the time. Stop it. So yeah, you do get to, when you get into the bank, and I'm putting a plug here because Laura's really good at this. And if you want to be a part of that, she has workshops. She's an expertise at it. She has a certification for it. Please go to her. It's worth it for your business and for your personal life, especially when you get to know those personality. And it really helps, because if you have that little, I call it secret sauce, you're kind of above the game already. Because while some people might not learn how to deal with certain people, you already know in the back of your mind of the codes they have, and you know how to handle it better. With some people, if they don't know all this, about the bank or anything, they'll be like, I ain't dealing with that person. Yeah, because you don't know you don't know what code they are. So, But yeah, please plug for Laura. She is a tremendous, awesome lady, and I love her dearly. Thank you, Laura. I hope she feels better. I know how it is with the I woke up today because I have sinus issues and I had to sleep up. I can't lay down. I have to sleep, up because my nose, all that stuff. Yeah. So I get it. I get it, lady. You just take care of yourself. Love you being on the show. Love you being an expert. And you know that you rock. So you take care of yourself. Now we are going to go into my lovely, what I call Diamond Factor Vault. So the vault is that I have done many interviews with a lot of ladies, a lot of wonderful business ladies. And a lot of times I like to bring those interviews here at the Diamond Factor Experience Show so you can get to know them. You can get to see what they're about. You get to see where they started from. And then maybe you want to come to the next level and work with them. Or maybe something that you hear in their interview that say, that could maybe be a good business partner for me, or that could be somebody that can help me with whatever you need help with. So I like to bring the vault out sometimes. It comes on Thursdays and Fridays sometimes that I bring out the vault of different interviews. So this particular one today, her name is Andrea, and you will be learning a little bit about her business, how she started. Now, I always tell people, with the vault, these are kind of interviews that's been maybe 6 months ago or a year ago or something. So I've noticed in the interviews that I have even changed with the way I look and the background and everything. I said, wow, I came a long way. So you'll see like the difference between my growth even within the interviews, which is awesome, because you're always forever growing when you're doing things. You're always forever growing. So always remember that whatever you're doing, just know that it's a growth status there. So we're going to go and I'm digging deep in the vault today. Let's meet Andrea, get that started here. And then you'll get to know some wonderful aspects of her. Just have to prop it up here. Let's see. While I'm working on that, I just want everybody to know, if you want to be on the Diamond Factor Experience show, if you want to be a guest, you are welcome. You can just basically just IM me. Well, no. Let me put it like this. You can email me at the Diamond Factor Experience at gmail.com, or on Facebook. You can just, DM me on there, and I will definitely, have a conversation with you, see if you are, you know, wanting to, whatever you kind of want to do as far as your business. If you're trying to introduce like a book, I'm always looking for authors and speakers and coaches, because I really like to give them what they don't sometimes get. They kind of get the bad stick of it. They don't really get interviewed that much. So I was like, you know what? I want to make sure that they get what they need, get their needs met, and understand who they are. So I really like to do that, especially for the ladies, because my mission is to make sure that ladies get the visibility that they need, and you get to know who they are, because they're diamonds. They're queen diamonds, as I always say. So here we are going to go to Andrea, and I hope that you enjoy hers, because I sure did enjoy interviewing her. So let's see. Here we go. Welcome to the Diamond Spotlight interview. My name is Barbara Beckley, the founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to empower women to understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive. And this platform is to make sure to increase their visibility so they can shine like a diamond to the world. Today, we are spotlighting another wonderful, what I call all the women queen diamonds. And we have another wonderful queen here that we're going to be just getting to know. So Andrea Medard is a cannabis wellness coach and educator. Andrea's life radically changed in just 1 year, and now it's her mission to teach others how and why. Welcome, Andrea. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
You look wonderful, lady. You look wonderful. So I'm loving how you said, when I was reading, you said, to teach others how and why. So we're just going to get right to that. So, you mentioned, well, it was mentioned as a cannabis wellness coach and educator, which is going to be interesting. Please explain what inspired you to get into this industry.
Sure. It's a little bit of a backstory. So I was an elementary school teacher for many years. And I guess it's coming up on 4 years now. I was a busy elementary school teacher. Plus, I have 2 little boys at home. Plus, I have a husband and a mother and neighbors and friends. And I was trying to do what I think a lot of working moms, were trying to do, which is juggle all these balls in the air and do everything perfect and make sure everything's working for everybody. And for me, it manifested in what I thought was a heart attack. I was about 100 pounds overweight, and I was having like some serious chest pains. And I knew, like, I hadn't been taking any care of myself. I was super stressed out. So I went to the hospital and I was like, I think I'm having a heart attack. And after doing literally every test they could, they were like, no, Andrea, you're having an anxiety attack. Like, you're in a bad place. So my doctor took me off work, and that sent me into like a pretty deep depression, because work was really my identity. And so I went from being like super busy and vibrant and outgoing, having all these things on the go, to literally not being able to get out of bed in the morning. Like, I would just lay in bed and cry all day, and my kids didn't know what was happening, and I wasn't, able to be there for my partner. So I worked really hard to try to get better. I did literally everything that you're supposed to do, right? I went to my doctor. I got on medication. I started meditating. I saw a psychologist. I saw a social worker. I exercised. I did yoga. Everything that, you're told to do to get better, and none of it was working. And for Christmas that year, my mom, who's the greatest lady in the world, she left a baggie of pot on my pillow at Christmas. And she was like, Andrea, I want you to try this. I think it might help. So my husband and I stared at the bag for like a month and had to Google how to roll a joint, because we didn't know. And finally got up the courage to, spark it up. And for me, I describe it as the clouds parting. So I took a puff, And I started to smile and I was like, what is this strange thing on my face? And then I started laughing. And for me, like I said, it was like the clouds parted and I remembered who I was inside. Like I remembered this lady who had slowly been eroded over the years of, you know, being a mom, being a partner, being a teacher. And like there I was inside, you know, perfectly intact. So that for me was eye-opening that I could maybe use cannabis to help me climb out of this depression. And so I talked to my doctor about it. She was like, no, you're the devil. Like, absolutely not. I'll give you more antidepressants instead. So I got myself booked into a cannabis clinic and they told me, yeah, cannabis will probably help. Here's some THC and CBD. Go off and good luck. And I was like, that is not helpful at all. So it took me about 4 months to figure out how I could use cannabis to help me alleviate the depression, but also function, right? I wanted to teach. I wanted to be with my kids and all that. And I was really, really frustrated that there wasn't somebody to hold my hand and walk me through the process of using cannabis. Cause it's not like, you know, you take one pill and then you feel better. You got to work with this plant. So I joined the Cannabis Coaching Institute and trained to be a certified cannabis coach. And now that's my purpose. That's my why, is to teach, especially women. I'll help men as well, but I have a real passion for helping women use cannabis as a tool in their toolbox to help them feel healthier and happier. And as you know, when we change the woman in the family, the whole family changes and there's like big ripple effects out into the world. So yeah, that's my purpose. That's my passion, is to help people feel better.
I always love listening to the backstories of the women that I bring on because it's just so interesting and exciting all at the same time. Because, you know, I always tell people, you don't look at people just at first value. You need to know their stories. You need to know where they came, you know, what got them to where they did what they do. So, and because when you do that, you're like, wow, it's just so interesting. So for you, you know, to deal with all that, and, you know, because the doctor and they gave you all that and you were still feeling bad. And then all of a sudden you come aware of this cannabis that helps you out and just opens change your whole life, basically. So I had to give you kudos for that, for keeping on and saying there's something. And then your mother came in and she kind of just said, okay, I have this for you. I'm just going to leave it right here. Yeah. And you give me a little idea. Okay, let me give you something because I see you need that.
Yeah, you need some more support, lady.
So love the mothers. Now, I was going to ask you now, since I know a lot of people, since cannabis has been made legal in a lot of areas in the world, I know Canada, I think they opened it to everything, everywhere. And in some of the United States, there's still some states that don't, you know, really approve it just yet. You know, give us some insight to the person that would want to take on like this, I call it like type of a movement in business too, because it is a business that a lot of people are in. And what type of benefits would people receive? You know, I know you receive stuff for your health part, but if, you know, a person was like on the fence or whatever, what kind of insight would you give them?
For business people specifically, like people looking to enter this industry?
Yeah, or just like you being a coach and educator.
I think there's a couple of things at play here. First of all, if you're thinking about entering the cannabis industry, like if you have a passion for this plant, then go for it. There's lots of people in the cannabis industry who have no passion for the plant. They have a lot of passion for the money that the plant will provide them, and having people who are excited about it and understand its potential benefits and how it really can change people and families and, you know, let's go for it, the world kind of thing. So first of all, like, don't enter this space if you think it's like a great way to make money, because you have to work hard here, just like in every other space. And then the second thing is, don't think that you need specialized skills necessarily to enter. If you are, like, for me, I'm an elementary school teacher, and it turns out that I'm really good and really passionate about teaching people, but we need really passionate accountants, and we need really passionate lawyers and bookkeepers and web designers and podcasters and everybody. So if you have, like I said, if you love this plant and it's done something for you and you're thinking about stepping into this space, do it, because it's filled with people who really care and are really passionate. And it is such a fun industry to work in for that reason, because so many of us have this drive about the plant.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And I know that a lot of, I was doing a little research on it myself because I'm still getting a little bit familiar with cannabis and how, because a lot of people, some people just say, well, it's weed, you get high off of it. And it's like, well, I know it has to be much more than that, especially with now it's opening up to where it's being legal and people are doing business with it. People are doing it because of their health. And talking about health, I did research a little where the health Harvard educators mentioned that cannabis can help with many health conditions, like when you were dealing with. How would you explain to an individual that might be trying to understand more about the health part of it, and how it can treat them in their life?
Yeah, this is a really big, eye-opening subject for lots of people, because all of us have been taught cannabis is a really bad, dangerous drug akin to like heroin or cocaine, or, and if we start taking it, then instantly our life's going to go to crap, and we're going to start being terrible parents and, doing all these terrible things. And I fully believed all of that as well. I had a fully stigmatized view about the plant before I started using it, because I knew that if I start smoking pot, then I'm going to be a pothead, and there goes everything. It turns out that you and me and everybody have a system in our body called the endocannabinoid system. And I'm not going to go too sciencey here, but
I'm interested.
This is a system very much like our cardiovascular system or our gastrointestinal system. But it's kind of like a master control system, and the endocannabinoid system's job is to maintain balance in all of your other systems. It's kind of like a master control switch, and it will help you, again, just to feel more in balance. And for an example, your heart shouldn't beat too fast or too slowly, and you shouldn't digest your food too quickly or too slowly, because those things will mess you up. And it's actually the endocannabinoid system that dials that in for us and helps us deal with pain and depression and anxiety and inflammation. And the way the system works is that our body naturally produces molecules that help us to feel better, and they fit like a lock into a key into receptors that are on cells all over our body. And this is the key thing, is that these receptors are literally all over our body. Our brain is filled with it, our spinal cord is filled with it, our immune system is filled with it, even our skin has these receptors. And although those receptors are there to catch the molecules that our body makes naturally, also the molecules that the cannabis plant grow, they fit like locks into keys into the system. So that's why cannabis works for so many different conditions. It's why you can take cannabis, like I said, to help with your headache, but also to help with your menopause pain, and also to help you get out of bed in the morning when you're feeling depressed, and also to help you turn down all your anxious thoughts that spin. It's because we have receptors all over the place. And yeah, a lot of people still equate cannabis with getting high, but the plant produces lots of molecules, over 100 molecules. One of them, THC, causes you to be high and excited, and also maybe paranoid and sick if you take too much of it. But all of the other 100-something molecules don't have that effect. They do have the effect of turning down inflammation, decreasing pain, increasing well-being, and feeling good without the high. So there's lots of ways to use this plant to feel better and to get that balance back into your life without, the scary side effects that the lots of people are nervous about. So if you've considered cannabis in the past, or you haven't because it seems scary, maybe take another look at all the different cannabis products that are out there on the market that you could use to help you feel better without any of the things that, most of us are nervous about.
And you know what, Andrea, I was going to ask you about that, because about the different, I'm trying to think like levels of, cannabis, of what you take, because you can get to a point if you like do too much or smoke too much or whatever, like you said, you're kind of like, okay, now I can't function at all because I'm just feeling really good right now. I'm just out there. So, is there that level where you take a certain amount to not make you so much of go to the, you can't think, you just got to kind of lay down or something like that, to the point where it's just, the levels of it. So is there some things that take, is there something that tells you that, or, you go by a certain, or you just kind of just say, this is, to this point, I will do it, right?
The thing with cannabis is because of your endocannabinoid system functions different than mine. So the system, there's ways that you can help your system function without using cannabis, like exercising, eating well, getting good sleep, managing your stress, which is, most of us are not doing those things really well. So because of that, though, because of your system's different than mine, it may be that you feel really great on a milligram of THC, which is like a super small amount, but I might need 70 milligrams of THC to feel the same thing, because maybe my system is really out of whack. And I have like a really malfunctioning endocannabinoid system. So I need significantly more supplementation in order to feel well. Just like I'm in Canada, so Canadians, we have to take vitamin D in the winter because we don't get enough sun up here. So some people need more vitamin D than others, and some people need more cannabis. And that literally is why I became a cannabis coach, is to help people kind of turn on a flashlight through this big murky world of cannabis and like guide people down a path that hopefully works for them specifically, because it's not just, like I said earlier, it's not just like take this pill and you will feel better. And that's what we're used to. We go to the doctor says take this antidepressant and you're going to feel better. With cannabis, it's much more about like, try this. How do you feel? You didn't feel anything? Okay, try a little bit more, or try a different product, or try a different ingestion method. And it really is a process of figuring out what works for you. And that's why you hire a cannabis coach to help you navigate that process.
Well, I'm glad that you took on being, because you found that this is your passion and helped you out in different health aspects that you had, and I'm glad that you became a cannabis coach, because like myself, say that I decided to want to do it. I mean, get into it because I'm having some issues or some health issues. I would want somebody to really help me get through the process, because you giving all this knowledge about it, that's awesome, because especially for a person that just getting right into it, just beginner, saying, I don't know what to do. What do I do? How do I manage this? So it's good that you're there to do that and help people through it. And now I was going to ask you, can you give just some advice on how to educate the younger generation concerning different ways how to use cannabis? Because, not considering the negatives by what people say. I know with you having children, how do you explain and decide the different directions for your own beliefs? Because I know you didn't start that way. You were kind of, at the beginning, you and your husband's looking at this like, okay, for a whole month. And then you decide, okay, let me just try this. So, in the younger generation, how would you kind of help them and get them to understand, it's not just, the one aspect, the negative part?
For me, it's been a real, like you said, a process. My kids are 8 and 10 now, and they've known about my cannabis use for about 2 years. So basically, when I started taking the cannabis coaching training, like my whole life became about cannabis, and I was like, okay, we have to chat about this. So that was a process of like us taking very baby steps, trying to explain to them like, this is a medicine. I'm using it to help me feel better, without making it such a big deal. Our cannabis is stored in the cupboard, just like my prescription medicines are stored in a cupboard, and just like our alcohol is stored in a cupboard. And my kids know not to go near it, right? Like I've taught them cannabis isn't some like weird, secret, dangerous thing. And now over these past couple of years, both my boys have developed a real appreciation for the plant, for like what it can do for people, because I work with clients and I talk about the success stories that I've had. So they're starting to see like, oh, that elderly lady who lives down the street who's 80 years old now comes by to my mom all the time and says like, thank you so much for introducing me to CBD, because I'm able to volunteer and go for a walk and do my gardening. And they see me growing it in the backyard. They see me helping women I have a cannabis club in my town. So they see all of the positive aspects, Plus, I've talked to them a lot about their endocannabinoid system and how it's still growing and maturing with their body, and adding supplementation to it before it's done maturing is not a good idea. But that when they, even now, if they had a headache, I could give them CBD to help them address their headache instead of giving them a pharmaceutical medication. And I'm super excited for this upcoming generation who, I don't know, they seem like the kids these days. Now I'm getting old. They seem like really curious, and they do have the ability to like learn about the plant and all of its benefits. So I'm really excited for this generation of kids who will grow up and realize that there is a different way to address all of the problems that we have just by being adults. That there's a different way, and in my opinion, a much better way to do it. So I'm really for educating kids about everything, right? Like they know how great it is. They also know that using it at their age or, in the next 10 years is not good. They're not, and I'm sure they'll probably smoke pot when they're teenagers, right? Like I'm sure that's going to come up, but I think they're going to have a much different foundation because of what I do.
Yeah. And I always think, I always say knowledge is good. We all say, and it's powerful, and it opens your mind to understanding. But when you don't have that understanding, that's when I think people shift and be like, they close the door on things, or they become closed-minded. So like I said, again, just going back to you taking on saying, you know what, I think I want to become a coach in this area. I want to be an educator and explain people, and so they can see that, okay, even though it's this type of plant and it does certain, people know it does certain things, there's another whole thing to it where it can help you, in your body and your health and everything. As I know one lady I interviewed the other day, she said it really helped with her insomnia because she had a really bad insomnia. And she said she was just like to the point where she wasn't functioning right. And it was just really bad. She said it really got bad, which I was feeling for her. But she said when she, was introduced to cannabis and people explained to her what it can do, she, just like how you said, she was like, oh my God. She said, I took, just not that much, but just a little. And already I felt better. She said, now she says it's been like 5 years. She hasn't dealt with insomnia at all. So, So like I said, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say the club that I run in my town, we have women of all different ages and different backgrounds come. And I always make treats that you can consume at the club or take home and put in your freezer and, consume at a different time. And I'm going to say I've had maybe 10 women come through and they've tried an edible when they got home, and then they'll email me and they'll be like, I didn't know it was possible to sleep like that. I haven't slept like that in 12 years. Or I woke up and I felt refreshed and I wasn't in pain. What is this magic that you've done? So yeah, the vast majority of my clients come to me with sleep issues. Because once you start sleeping, literally everything can change, right? If you're not sleeping, your whole life's crap. So getting sleep under control is really important.
Yeah, because I always say that, if you don't get the sleep, I know even my doctor tells me sometime when I was having problems a little bit earlier in the year, he's like, because you have to your whole body has to rejuvenate over, when you're sleeping. And if you're not getting no sleep, then that's causing all that stuff to stop, and you're going to feel it, like you said, in many ways. So, Andrea, this has been exciting. So, any last words you'd like to leave the audience? And please tell them where they can contact you too.
Sure. I think if you're listening to this interview and you walked into it and you're like, oh, cannabis is terrible, maybe just take a different look at it. Look at it from a different angle. Maybe cannabis could help with my sleep or my pain or my depression. Just open your mind to the possibility that it might be something helpful for you. And yeah, come check me out. I have a huge library of YouTube videos on how to use cannabis for health and wellness. I offer daily education on my Facebook and Instagram platforms. I have private consultations, like I talked about, to be the flashlight in the dark for you. And I also have a few online courses that will teach you, for example, like how to make cannabis edibles in your home so that you don't have to pay dispensary prices, or cannabis pain salve. And I have another course for moms who are either pregnant or breastfeeding and they're considering using cannabis. And I teach them like a more nuanced way to look at this subject, because it's not all black or white about using cannabis during that time of your life. And I'd love to offer your listeners to go to revealcannabis.com. And if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get a free little recipe book plus a video that will teach you how to get started if you're brand new with cannabis, how to get started with the plant. So yeah, go check that out. That'd be great.
Wow, a lot of good information. So yeah, viewers, hopefully I'll make sure that, there's a link there so they can get to that. And if they're interested and want to get in contact with you and work with you. So
that'd be great.
Thank you, Andrea. This has been awesome. Like I said, I always love introducing the Queen Diamonds, so people get to know you and understand, how you shine in the world. And you do shine. You do give a lot of information and aspiration and inspired people and create an impact. So thank you so much for letting me spotlight you today.
Right back at you, because this is such a beautiful thing that you're doing, highlighting women who are out there busting their butts, and you're literally making me feel like a diamond. So thank you very much.
I achieved the goal.
Yeah.
So I wish you well in your continued success in your life and in your business. And to those of you that are listening, thank you for joining us for another special episode of the Diamond Factor Spotlight interview. You can join the Facebook community under the Diamond Factor Experience. And if you wish to be spotlighted, just tag me or messenger me, and we can get you on the calendar. And remember, as I always said, everybody, every woman, you have a PPD, as I call it, your purpose, passion, and drive. So important, so important. Your uniqueness is important, and it just resonates to the world, because we need to impact others so they can understand that their PPD is important to the world. So I will see everybody at the next interview. And again, thank you, Andrea, so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Barbara.
Bye.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running, 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the
Hello, and we're back. Let me make sure. Sometimes I always got to check because checking audio. Check. There we go. We are there. So I hope everybody's doing okay. The Diamond Factory Experience Show is still on. Still on. As you notice, I'm on a little longer today because I had some special with Laura coming on, and then we went. Okay, looks like somebody just checked me and said they can't hear me. Okay, let me see this. Checking. Can you hear me? Like we got to do, like they say, mic check. Let's see here. Let me just double check. Yeah, everything looks like it's setting there. So just bear with me. Okay. I just want to make sure you can hear me now because I seen somebody that just said that they couldn't hear me. And I just want to make sure that it's not going to help when you can't hear me, right? Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking for comments. Be patient with me. Be patient. Just checking some functions here. Mic check. Okay, I can hear myself. I just checked. Sometimes you have to go into the broadcast and say, okay, can I hear? So before we bring on our wonderful guest, Miss Cheryl, and I know we're going to have some good talks with her, and she has a lot to bring to the table today. I can't wait to talk to her. I always get so excited when I have special guests on because they just bring, I always say they're a lighthouse in the world because what they do, how they do things, I know it saves lives. I know it helps people move from one extreme to the next in their lives. So I really honor that, excuse me, I can't get it together. So I'm really honored. What I'm trying to say is to have her on the show so we can share and get to the chance to know her. Like I always say, and I'm going right into, I always give something like positive, something that you can think about, something that you can say to yourself, that sounds like something that I could work through my day on a positive note. Always like bringing like either quotes or something and just talking about relationships, building relationships. This is one quote that I received that I get in mind. I don't want you to think I made this up. I got it from another wonderful Queen Diamond, as I call them, Mary Ellen Kavazovic. This is her book. I've been reading a lot out of her book. It's called Taking Responsibility, Unleashing Truth, Healing. And I'm telling you, you need to have this book in your library. Every day she has something that you can read to really get you going, and it resonates with what you're trying to build in life on a positive note, because we always got the negative coming. That's always going to be, but we got to put it with the positive. Let's see. Somebody keeps telling me I'm still okay. I am live and I can hear myself. Okay, so I am. You can hear me. So the relationships. A relationship is built on the foundation you build together. Your relationships are a reflection of you. The best way to have a relationship with someone else is to have a relationship with yourself first. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? All of us have something we want our egos to hide. In a relationship, you cannot hide because you will see yourself in other people. The best way to build a relationship is slowly. It takes time. I keep telling you, if you want it, fine wine takes time. Fine good relationships take time. It takes time. So slow it down. Have fun together. Build good memories together. Then allow your relationship to blossom into what God wants it to be. Today, become aware of your relationship. Enjoy you and enjoy your day. I like what she says at the end. So yes, your relationship, build. It's a foundation you need to build. It takes time. It takes sacrifice sometimes, because you got to have a little bit of the bigger picture. Because if you're really trying to build a friendship or a business relationship with somebody, you need to make sure that you're building it for trust, communication. Do you two, jive together? I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's going to be, well, in every relationship, you're going to have battles. That's just part of life. It wouldn't be exciting if you didn't have, like, maybe once in a moment you might not have a disagreement. Everybody's not gonna agree together. It would be nice if we could always agree together, but no. And if we were agreeing with each other all the time, then the world wouldn't be what it is now, with so much, sometimes chaos in some areas, or but that's what makes it interesting too, is when you have different ideas and different thoughts from people, because sometimes that can change some things, revise some things to make things better. So you look at it in that sense. So right now I want to, I'm going to go to another sponsor, and I want to make sure I check, because our guest is here, Cheryl is here, but I think we need to check her sound. So I'm going to do a sponsor real quick, and we will be back, and I will introduce this wonderful Queen Diamond. So here we go.
Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been showing that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Okay, so we got to run our beautiful sponsors, because they help with the show. So I really want to give them a shout out. A lot of times I don't do that. I talk about the guests, I talk about the experts, but then sometimes I don't talk about the sponsors. And I love you, wonderful sponsors, that you come on and support the Diamond Factor Experience show with Barbara Beckley. And that's a team. Always talking about a team effort. That is a team effort when you have your sponsors, you have guests come on, especially this wonderful lady that's coming on in a few seconds here, and then also some of the experts that come on during the week. Also, I just want to remind everybody, if you are interested in being part of the Diamond Factor Experience show with Barbara Beckley as a guest, you can always DM me under the Facebook. Just say, I'm interested in being a guest. You can also email me at the diamondfactorexperience@gmail.com. diamondfactorexperience@gmail.com. and I'll make sure that I also put that towards the end so you can have that information as well. Because sometimes, saying it, you'd be like, what did she say? But sometimes if you write it down and you kind of see it scrolling, then there's no, it's like, okay, there's no excuse then, right? You're seeing it on the screen. So I just want to first of all, welcome this wonderful, wonderful lady that I'm just meeting, but I feel like I always meet women, especially Queen Diamonds, I call them. And this particular lady, she signed up to be on the show. And I was like, I was reading her bio and I was looking at what she does. And I was like, she is awesome. I mean, she has a picture, and you'll see it in a minute because I did a little video for her before I bring her on. And she has this, like, she's fighting, and her whole mission is to bust the aging process of, what we go through. That's one of the things she does. And I'm loving that. I always talk about, remember, I always say, be unique in what you're doing. Bring out those gifts and those talents that you have in you. And I see that talent in her and that gift that she has. And she made it into a whole, for her own business. So you never know what's going to become of something that's growing in you, that's going to blossom to this big empire that you're doing. And she has done that with that. She's also, and she calls her author, like she says, she's an author, she's a speaker, and she's a ninja. And we're going to hear a little bit more about that when we talk to her. And she's all about, the fitness and making sure that, you work on that, because like you said, we do age. But we don't have to age. I can think of it like that. We're aging, but you don't have to age. You can have control over how your body is and stuff, even when you get to the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. I know a lot of people, I know 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds that are doing track and running and stuff. And I'm in my 50s and I'm still like, whew, how do they do it? But they took a decision. They made a decision to make sure that they wanted to still be, strong-hearted at their age. So it's very important, but you got to make that decision. And she'll probably tell us more. She's going to give us some secrets, a little secret sauce, hopefully, on how to get to that point. So with that, I want to, but I always have to bring in the guest the right way, because this is Diamond Fact Experience, right? So let's bring on Miss Cheryl Ivan. Here we go. Can you hear me?
Oh, Barbara, I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. You might have to adjust where it has Mike and Cam and Mike.
I can't hear you.
Okay, here we see. The luxury of technology. Let's see here. Let's see. Just give us a minute.
Technical issues.
I know. Let's see here. Let's see. So let's see. And then I'm kind of guiding her right now. We're gonna see what we can do. And then go to see if she might have to switch. Can you hear me?
No, I went to audio. Still can't hear you. I made that change.
Okay. Let's see. Go to. Add. Okay. 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 So what we're doing, we're testing the audio for her. This, you know what? This happens.
There we go.
There we go. There we go.
I love technology. Isn't it the best?
It is. and it teaches us all the time.
Well, and it also teaches us how to be flexible and how not to panic. And in the old days, I just would have had my hair on fire. I would have just had a hissy fit and I wouldn't have been able to go on.
Well, don't feel bad, Cheryl, because I would have been the same way a long time ago. I was like, and then I'd be like, I can't do it, But now I just kind of say, okay, I do the whoosh. I always say whoosha. I go whoosha, and then I calm down. I count to 3 or to 10 or to 20, and then I just walk through it. Just like I was having problems earlier before I brought you on, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. And thank God for sponsors, so I can throw them on there while I'm waiting. But I'm so glad that you are a part of the show. Thank you for coming on a little bit on a later end and adjusting your schedule for us. We really
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this for weeks.
Oh, I've been looking forward to for you to be on the show too. I know you. We kind of talked for a while ago, and then there was some things that I had to move and stuff like that. I'm like, no. And I remember you emailed me a few days ago. You're like, well, Barbara, I see that you have somebody else. I said, no, you're gonna be on the show. You are there. You are on the show. So I'm just glad to see you. And I always tell people one thing I love about that I started the Diamond Factor experience. Not so much of, me, because I know a lot of people start shows for credibility, to get, visibility and everything. And which, I am hopefully getting a lot of visibility. I know from numbers and stuff. But the biggest thing, Cheryl, is to bring people on like you. And I call all the Lady Queen Diamonds because you're royalty to me. So you could show your uniqueness, what you do, your business, because you need that visibility so people can know, like I said, the diamonds sometimes are hidden sometimes. And we got to just, open it up so people can see who they are and be like, oh my God, I didn't know that diamond was there. They are awesome. So that's why I love to bring on the people so they get that visibility and people get to know you. And like I was just saying earlier, you probably didn't hear it because I know the sound, but before I brought you on, I was talking about building relationships and how it takes time, but you got to start somewhere. So I was thinking that if I bring on the experts like you and other people, they can get to know who you are. And they're like, oh, I might want to talk to Cheryl. I like that. So before we start, Cheryl, I want to just, I did say that you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a ninja. I love how you had that. I was like, that's so nice. It's like ninja. And, you deal with the fitness and the aging and everything. So can you just start off first by just introducing yourself? And then I want to dig a little bit deeper on how you got to that point.
Okay, certainly. Well, as you said, I am an author, a speaker, and a ninja, and I really am. I'm a martial artist. I'm a second-degree black belt, also known as a shodan, in an ancient Japanese martial art called Ninpo Taijutsu, which is the art of the ninja. And a really funny story, I did not go willingly when I began training. I started my training at the age of 47. And oh yes, and I actually met my sensei, my teacher, when I was 44. He was an acupuncturist, so I went to him for the very first time, and I didn't know this guy. And he's putting needles in my legs, and all of a sudden he got a very far away look on his face, and he said, with your legs and my coaching, I could teach you how to kill with these things. And
I know you're like, okay.
It's like, okay. Number one, who thinks like this, let alone says it out loud? And I thought, this guy's crazy. I need to grab my bag and run. But I was literally pinned to the table, so he pretty much had a captive audience, so I had to stay. And, I thanked him and I said, no, I'll save my killer legs for ballet class. I'm certainly not interested. Very long story. It took him 3 years for him to break me down. And finally, I said, okay, I will take a few classes just to learn some self-defense techniques, which I desperately needed at the time, and to prove to you how much I'm going to hate it.
So you on a mission to do that?
Because I knew this was not me. I'm, a girly girl, a fussy girl, hanging around in a smelly dojo with a bunch of sweaty men, because there were not very women. There weren't, hardly any women in the dojo. And finally I said, okay, so I'll take a few classes. And you know what? I didn't hate it. I fell in love with the art. I fell in love with the training, and I really fell in love with the sense of empowerment that I got through training. However, I never planned on getting a black belt. I didn't want even to get a yellow belt. I didn't even want a white belt, but it came with the uniform. I had no plans on testing, but as God, the universe, whomever would have it, 10 years later, I became his first female black belt.
Wow. Congratulations, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
And just to pin right there for a minute, I love how when you said you were proving, you're going to prove that you don't want to do this. And you kept yourself, even when you were thinking that, you still kept yourself open to say, wait a minute, this is evolving into something else that I thought it was going to happen. I wasn't supposed to like this.
Right.
And now it just flipped, and see how it just changed your whole focus in life from that. So I always tell people, always be open. Even when you think it might not be kind of whatever, you never know where your opportunities are lined up with your gifts that you have. So
And don't be afraid to try new things, no matter how scary it is. As long as you're in a safe environment, which I was, although it didn't feel like it at first, because there I was, my very first class. I was the only woman in a room full of men, and I had just come from ballet class. So it was just so crazy. I'm like, well, what in the world am I doing here? I was so out of my element. And of course, they're kind of looking at me, and I'm looking at them, because most of the women who would come to class were like, really, want to do this. I know I want to learn how to kick butt. And I was like, I need to go fix my lipstick. I think I got it messed up. And so, yeah, it was definitely a learning experience in so many ways. So it wasn't just about learning the art of the ninja. It was also learning the art of relationships with, guys that, strange men, which turned out pretty well. And it was also learning the art of communication, picking your battles, standing your ground, finding your voice, flexibility, in every single aspect of life. The art of the ninja has really just had a positive impact on me.
I love that. I love all those aspects that came out of it.
Like
you said, with the communication and just really focusing. I mean, I tell people that's why you want to make sure that you just said, Cheryl, to take that jump, do some different things, because you never know how it's really going to impact your life to what you're doing. And then once it impacts you, you can take all that and then you help impact other people's lives, right?
Absolutely. And, I've taught a lot of self-defense classes for women and self-defense classes for women and girls, because a lot of women do not want to do what I did and still do, and spend, 17 years in a smelly dojo with a bunch of sweaty men, letting them smack you around and throw you to the ground and pin you and choke you and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it took a while. It took a while for me to learn how to like it, but it worked out pretty well. But a lot of women don't want to do that, and I don't blame them. But I can help people, women especially, take those principles that I learned through my martial arts training and teach them not only to protect themselves in a physical sense, but to protect themselves emotionally, mentally, spiritually even, because life is so full of hits, and they come in a variety of different forms and shapes, and predators are everywhere. Plus, you've got the life hits of financial stress, relationship stress, business stress. It's all around us. So learning how to be able to pick and choose your battles, and to be able to, well, we call it escape. It's called the Ninja Disappearing Act. Learn how to just remove yourself from a situation that is either uncomfortable or confrontational. If you're not in the way, you can't get hurt.
That's cool. I like that. If you're not in the way, you can't get hurt. Yeah. See, now that you said that, now that you were talking about how, that you had to deal with all, because you went through your valley of being, trained of what you do now, like you said, with the guys, and they had to do all this, a lot of the things you had to do to get to that point. And now you're, doing defense classes for women. And I see, now that you said, I see that whole bridge. I see the bridge where you came in, you're like, I don't know about this. You went through it.
I was, and some might have been through the fire and storm because it was, it was like,
That's
you
why.
did all that, you learned, you got your, basically you're just, black, but whatever what your title is. And then you said, you know what? Why some of these got to go through what I went through? I kind of did that, and I can bring that to them in another sense that they can still learn what I did. So you saved some of us.
I always tell people, I tell women,
You
it's like,
saved some of us.
look, I took the hits for you. I did
Oh.
this so you didn't have to, and you're welcome. You're welcome.
What you said. I'm just gonna say you're welcome because I did take some of those hits. That's why I put
really
the
did.
heart up because yeah.
Thank you.
Well, this goes into the thing I know I was listening to. I think another because I listened to a lot of different workshops and stuff. And one of the workshops it said that I want to make sure the things that this one lady was speaking, the things that I went through, that I can help and teach you so you don't have to go through the same thing. If you can avoid some of those, and I can give you some avenue where you can avoid that, why not?
Right.
Why do we all? I mean, it's just like this. Okay, I went through it, so I want to help teach you that. Okay, I dealt with this. I've seen this before. So you're doing the same thing. You took those hits so you can help others, and that's why it becomes even more, important to value you because of what you've done, to help others. Yeah.
Well, thank you. But, I really believe that there is a warrior in all of us, and we find our own warrior spirit in different ways, just like you do in your show and everything that you're doing in your business and helping other people with their business. And sharing our stories is so important because we have all gone through the fire, more than one. A lot of times. And if we can communicate with each other, we share each other's stories. And to me, that just makes, like you said, the networking, but the connection, it's growing out. It's making the world a better place and understanding that you're not alone. And there are so many other resources that you have at your fingertips. You just kind of have to look for them to find them. And of course, keep learning, keep those eyes open, keep an open mind, and just pay attention to what's out there because there are so many, like you said earlier, opportunities.
Opportunities, yes. Now, I want to ask you because I'm really interested in this because I know you deal with, you said, your mission is to bust myths of aging. Please, if you can give us just a little taste of that. I'm all ears here. I want to hear it.
Okay, well, the first thing you need to do is not listen to anybody else. Do not listen to society. Do not listen to the media. Do not listen to some of the experts who say, okay, well, you're getting older. You're supposed to get that, middle-aged bulge. You're supposed to shrink in your spine. You're supposed to have aches and pains. It's part of the normal aging process, and that is not true. Our bodies were made to be able to move and be vibrant and healthy and active during the entire course of our lives. Of course, we get hits along the way. And through my personal experience, I was actually a chronic pain patient when I was in my mid-30s. And I mean, I was completely taken out. For 2.5 years, I lived the life of a chronic pain patient. I was on, all the medications, the anti-inflammatories, pain meds, muscle relaxers. I had my doctors, I had my physical therapists, massage therapists. I had all of that. I was a medical person myself. I was a respiratory therapist at the time. So I was depending on the medical profession to help me get better. And I did everything that I was told to do. But instead of getting better, I kept spiraling down and I was getting worse and worse and worse until 2.5 years into this, I was like, oh my goodness, I can barely move. And it wasn't until one of my doctors told me that I would never be able to do my laundry and my grocery shopping all in the same day because the arthritis in my spine was so severe, I would end up being bedridden. And I looked at her. I mean, it just kind of, I was confused when she said it because it didn't compute in my brain. And I looked at her and I said, you don't understand. I'm planning on going back to ballet class. And she laughed in my face. And she said, well, not only can you not do it, you're too broken, but you're way too old. Ballet is for children and teenagers. She knew, it gets worse. she knew I was planning on trying to get into physical therapy school. And she goes, you forget about PT school because you are way too broken. You cannot do the work. And even if you could do it, you are way too old. I was 36. And then she recommended that I start applying for disability because I was going to need it. Oh yeah, I was 36. And I mean, I was stunned. She took away my hope. She shattered my dreams. She destroyed my spirit. And then she sent me home with a pat on the head and said, don't worry about it. We will take care of you.
After all that.
I went home, I hit rock bottom, and I don't know what it was. If it was maybe I always was a ninja and had fighting spirit, I don't know what it was. But I woke up one morning and I said, no, I do not accept this. And I said to myself, you better figure it out for yourself. So I fired my entire medical team. I stopped, going to the appointments. They were so upset because I needed them. Stopped taking the medication, stopped doing the exercises and stretches that the PTs gave me because they weren't working. I knew enough about movement as a dancer and someone who studied Pilates for, at that point, like 13 years just for my own benefit. And I taught myself how to move again.
Wow.
It took about 9 months. The only other thing I added was acupuncture, which from a medical mindset, that Western medical mindset, man, that was a stretch for me. But I did it, and 9 months later, there I was, and I did end up going to PT school, and I graduated 3 months shy of my 40th birthday, so I guess I really wasn't too old.
Prove them wrong. So you proved them wrong. See, I'm like that cheerleader behind everyone, like, yes.
But the point is, had I listened to them, had I believed the labels they were putting on me as a chronic pain patient, as someone who was too old to go to PT school, too broken to go to PT school, too old and broken to do ballet, you and I would not be having this conversation right now. So my, key point for the listeners is to bust those myths of aging. Don't listen to the people who are telling you you're too old to do something. Don't listen to the people who are trying to put labels on you, because what you hear, you eventually believe it, even if it goes against your inherent belief system. So that's the first thing is, don't listen. And don't listen to the naysayers. Listen to yourself. You are your own expert. The other thing is, if you are having aches and pains and things that are interfering with your ability to do the things you want to do and love to do, then there are so many different modalities out there that were kind of poo-pooed and not even available to someone like me when I was going through it. Because that was 30 years ago. So here I am, 29 years later. I'll be 65 next month. Yeah, thanks.
What? Lady, you look, oh my God, you just look so good. I was about to say, you look, you'd be like on a fashion fair, like, I'm serious.
Oh, thank you. The lighting does help a lot, but, and a good attitude. When you feel good, you look good. And I look better now in my mid 60s than I did 30 years ago. And it's true. So, mindset is everything.
You look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. See, that's the work, and that's like you said. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I know a lot of people always say mindset, but it's true. It really is true. I know people get tired, like concepts like pivot. You hear that a lot. Yeah. The mindset pivot, but it's true. If you have that mindset to say to yourself, and you start off. First of all, you were like, I'm not listening to anything this doctor's saying because that's totally like doom and gloom.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's horrible.
It was horrible how she. I mean, she just kept adding on layers. That's what the part of it was like. Okay, you said this. Oh, by the way. Oh, and by the way, you do this. And oh, by the way, but we'll take care of you.
Oh boy.
Oh, I'm like,
yeah.
You started out. You didn't take care of me when you opened your mouth. What the first words you said?
So I have to tell you something funny, because this is really kind of funny. It was probably about 20 years after that. Yeah, because I was in my mid-50s. It was about 20 years after that. And I realized I had one of those mental head smacking moments that it was like, oh my goodness, she was right. I can't do my laundry and my grocery shopping all in the same day because I'm too busy and I'm too tired. 3 times a week, I would take a professional level ballet class, and then I would, pack my little ballet bag and I would drive across town to the dojo, and then I would take an hour and a half martial arts class. And on some days I would see clients. I mean, I was just too busy. So yeah, but that was lovely. What a wonderful way not to do your laundry and your grocery shopping, because you're active, you're busy. So yeah.
It just worked out the other way instead of the way she was talking about. I was
Exactly. I proved her so wrong.
Oh, and I love when women do that. I love when we do that. I do. I always tell, because you know how some people be like, they talked about me and they said I want to be this and that. And I always tell ladies, especially the ladies, because that's my mission, to really help women to really be who they are and really their genius. And I said, look, the best way to do that is to become successful in what you're doing. That's it. Prove them wrong. Just prove them wrong. Just become successful. And you don't have to say anything to them. You don't have to yell at them about it. You just have to just be who you are. And they were like, okay, that's a good point. I said, because the energy that we have, we only live in this world so long, once. Take that energy and do what you need to do to help yourself and help others. That's all. That's it.
Well, I have another perspective on that too. If they're talking about you, you're doing something right.
Yes. It's what you took my. It's funny you said that, because my mother used to tell me that when I was growing up.
Oh, really?
Because people used to talk, because it was bad. I was bullied. I mean, there's a whole story about me, but it's not about me, right? I was really. I mean, they told me I was an idiot. I wouldn't do anything. I was stupid. I was ugly. Everything. And my mother was like, well, because my mother, I call her Sergeant Beckley. She was my sergeant in my life. She didn't hold any. It's just like, it was just like boom, boom. Yeah, I'm not beating around the bush. Here you go. And I said, "Mom, she didn't talk about me. He told me I was this and that." I'd be like telling her, and she's like, "Well, you know what? You get worried when they stop talking about you." That's what she used to tell me. I don't know if that helped or whatever, but I'm like, okay, I get the concept now that I got older. But back then it wasn't really. It was kind of like they're still talking about me here. But so she used to say that. She's like, yeah, you have to get worried when they don't start talking about you.
Yeah, well, Mom usually does know best.
Yeah. And like I said, it's funny, a lot of things that she did say when I got up, more up in her age, that's when things really started penetrating in my mind and say, okay, yeah, she said that. Oh, I remember that. And I hear other people confirm it, like you and other people. I was like, oh, there's confirmation that she was right. So you learn. The wisdom of others. I tell people, listening is so important. Don't you agree with that, Cheryl? Listening.
Yeah. And listening, not only just hearing, but listening with your entire self.
Yes.
And really listening, internally.
Yeah. In yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Cheryl, now we have to, before we sign off here, because I want to make sure, like I said, visibility for you, that's important.
Thank you.
You have your book, which I wanted to have in my hand, and I didn't have before we interview, but it's coming. Forever Fit and Flexible, Feeling Fabulous at 50 and Beyond. Yes. So did this come out, or has it been out for a while?
It's been out for a while. It came out 4 years ago in July. Okay. And my second book should be out in about 2 months, I think. I just finished the second round of editing. And as a matter of fact, this afternoon, I'm going to just take my manuscript and send it back to my editor for round 3. And now it'll go into proofing. And pretty soon I'll be talking with the designer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome. So now just a little bit about the first one, can just a little snippet of that one for us, if you can tell us.
Okay, so, there's a lot of books about fitness, right? And do this and do that and go to the gym 3 times a week and pump iron and, do all these things. And it's a little different when you're maturing. You don't have all of this energy that we need to burn off. And a lot of people think, your joints are, falling apart and, because of aging and stuff. No, it's because of some of the wear and tear that we've put on our bodies. And so finally we're starting to feel it. So the book is really about awareness, body awareness, mindset, paying attention to yourself, and then how to move by using that awareness, control, breathing. There are a lot of different principles. And then in the book, after I go through, the foundation, the basic principles, the mindset, all of that, then I have a little program in there with movement lessons. Notice I didn't say exercise because I'm a physical therapist that hates exercise and thinks that chocolate is food.
I like that.
But I love to move. And that's how I was able to get myself out of pain, was through that conscious movement and paying attention, the mindfulness of what felt better. So I include these little movement lessons as well as the mindfulness and paying attention to your body, because I firmly believe that we can, number one, we can heal from anything, because I've proved that more than once. And number two, that our bodies are made and meant to move. But our modern society, we sit too much, we're on the computer too much. So I give you little tidbits of how to get more movement into even your daily activities of life. And even like just cleaning the kitchen, you're not cleaning the kitchen. You're actually, practicing your balance, you're shifting your weight, you're practicing little ninja moves, you're reaching up in the cabinet, you're stretching, you can actually activate the abdominals to do that, and you can, when you empty the dishwasher, how to use your legs, your glutes, it's just all of those things that you can do all day long. And if you do that, little bits and pieces every single day while you're moving through your daily life, that's a lot more effective than going to the gym 3 times a week, especially if you hate going to the gym. And as far as I'm concerned, I mean, going to the gym, the thought of going to a gym makes me break out in hives.
I know. Because people used to always, you know how, like you just said earlier, Cheryl, you need to go to the gym, you need to go to the gym, you need to do this. And then I was like, okay, then I was like the norm. I was like, okay, let me go to the gym, And I hated it.
Yeah.
Hated going to the gym. I don't know what it was, but it's just too many. It was just, I don't know what it was.
I hate it.
I didn't
and
like
honestly, I hate exercise, but I love to move. So that's the other point, is find something that you love. There are so many different movement modalities that you can choose from. For me, of course, ballet. I still do ballet here in my basement, because, I like to call it basement ballet since COVID hit. And now I realized, I don't have to go to the studio. I don't have to put on makeup. I don't even have to wear deodorant. All I need to do is walk down the stairs and I'm in a ballet studio, right? So
I know a lot of people have got that epiphany after COVID. Wait a minute, I don't have to put this on. I don't have to. It's just all of a sudden, wait a minute. And then you're thinking, because you're so the norm of doing it. And then when you don't have to, it's like you think, it's like, wait, and then you think, I gotta do this though. No, I really don't.
And so, and there's a lot of online classes and all kind of different things now. There's a lot of yoga and, Pilates, whatever it is. And just what I would what I really want to impress on the audience is, don't give up. There are so many things out there. There's something for you. And if you find something that you hate, don't do it. Life is way too short to do things that you hate. So just keep looking. Like I said, there are so many different things out there. If you really like pounding and stuff, that's great. If you love running, that's great. But if you don't like that, try different kind of dance forms. Try different kind of, like Tai Chi is a fantastic way to keep fit. And it's very gentle, easy on the body, has incredible health benefits. Just keep looking. There is something for you that you are going to love. And if you're someone who likes solitude, maybe it's walking in the park by yourself. If you're someone like me that likes a lot of interaction, then try classes, which I love that. I love the energy, and I love being around other people who share the passions and interests that I do.
I know it was kind of difficult for you. I know for a lot too, that, you like, when you like people around, it's like you said, that with the COVID, that had to, kind of stop for a minute. But then I'm so glad for Zoom, because I think that helps all of us tremendously.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Because you can still have that, even though you're not together like in person, you still got that interaction. Like right now we're speaking, we're able to talk and, talk about things and do things, like you said, the yoga and everything.
Well, not only that, it opens up your world, because, I probably wouldn't have met you prior to this. And, I have a podcast, which you are going to be a guest on my show
Oh,
soon. I would love to have you, the Femininja Project. But I talk to women now and men all over the United States and even in Europe. I have now friends in Germany that I've had on my show, and I just met my best friend forever in Australia.
See,
So
wonderful. I'm
the
glad
benefits.
I'm glad you brought it up, Cheryl. Globally, we are meeting some just tremendous people that we probably wouldn't have met.
Right.
Unfortunately, COVID is not a happy thing at all. But
No, it's not.
but switch it around to the positive of what we received through it is amazing. Yeah, I've been meeting someone like you said, like yourself. You're my new buddy now, and just a lot of other ladies. Yeah, I mean, it's just and I really mean that. And I'm going to say this too, and just for you and others, when you do meet people, especially like-minded people in your life that are positive, that are moving and doing things that you're like, hey, I got to stay on track too. They can be like accountability for each other. Please stay with those people. I always say, don't sit there and be like, well, I didn't get a chance to talk, and then all of a sudden the snowball effect goes, and then you're no longer communication and stuff. You're missing out on the opportunity to build, going back to what I was talking about earlier, about relationships and about the right ones. The right ones, yeah.
Exactly.
So Cheryl, anything, I always do this with my guests. I always step down for maybe just like a few seconds, like 30 seconds, so you can express anything that you want to leave with the listener. So I'm going to step down virtually, and I'm going to let you say, and I'll be right back up for you.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I really want to impress on everybody that you can do anything that you really want to do. Do not let age stand in your way. Just help join me in my mission to punch Father Time in the face, bust the myths of aging, and have an entire society of people who are maturing, that are healthy, vibrant, active, fit, and an example to the younger generations coming up. I also believe in my heart that there is a warrior in each and every single one of us, just waiting to be discovered. So find ways to unleash your inner power, find that warrior spirit, and be the warrior that you were meant to be. Doesn't necessarily mean going to martial arts and beating up guys and letting them beat you up for 17 years like I did. You could be a warrior for anything. You can be a fitness warrior. You can be a relationship warrior. You can just any type of warrior. Healing warrior. There's so many things out there and so many options. So basically, that's really what I want to say.
And that's really wonderful what you just said. And I'm glad that you left everybody with, like you said, being that warrior. And we all have that warrior in us, and we have to remind ourselves of that. And don't let other people take that away from you because of their words. Learn from what Cheryl went through, with her doctor even telling her. I mean, look at the list of things that they told Cheryl, and she beat each one. Each one, she was like, check, 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 check. That didn't happen. Check. And she's 65 young. I mean, this lady. I mean, I was looking. Even when I took myself down, I'm looking even closer because it's the shot is even closer. I'm like, she's lying.
No, I'm not.
She looks 30. Oh my God, the new 65 is 30. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a magazine that's a popular one and tell them they need to get you on the cover because you have to definitely show, like you said, this is another thing to prove, to say, hey, look.
Yeah.
I'm on the front of a magazine as well. So thank you, Cheryl, for coming on the Diamond Factor Experience Show. This was a wonderful experience. I asked everybody, I put Cheryl's, website below. Please reach out to Cheryl. You see all the things. We got to meet her. We got the relationship building was here, started here. So what I always ask is these wonderful experts, so I call celebrities, Queen Diamonds. I got all the words. But reach out to them. They have their own business. She's CEO of her own company. She has a lot of things you can hear her, and the sincerity and the heart that she has in her. So those are the people that you want to work with.
just to give you a glimpse. Those are the people that you should be, wanting to work with and being a client of theirs.
Mhm. And
So,
if I can just say one more thing, if you
sure.
do go to my website, you can and sign up for my newsletter. You have a downloads to 3 meditation through movement lessons. So they're not really the same fit and flexible lessons that I have in my book, but they are movement lessons just to give you an idea of how to be able to move with more consciousness, more mindfulness, and ease and grace. And so you can do that. And if you have any questions, certainly reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. See, now you get some gifts, some goodies if you sign up. So go to her website, sign up, take this opportunity. Like we were saying earlier, the opportunities happen. You never know why. Don't ask the why about it. Just jump and do it, because eventually it's going to come out for your benefit, and you're going to learn so much for yourself and others. So thank you, Cheryl, again. I'm going to have you on in a few months. We're going to bring you back and see what new things are happening in your life.
Oh,
And
Barbara, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on the show. You're just such an inspiration, and you're so much fun to talk to. I absolutely love it, and I'm so looking forward to having you on my show, and I will be in touch with you.
Yes, yes, yes. I can't wait. So everybody, you have a wonderful day, and I'll be right back. Cheryl, love you. Thank you for being on the show,
No.
and keep doing what you're doing. You are that warrior.
Love you too, Barbara. You're a warrior too.
Thank you. Woo! Had some fun today. We start off with Laura Armstrong. She got us into that, the BAIT code, the personality, understanding, blueprint, knowledge, action, and nurturing. Which one are you? Which one are you? Then from there, I went into the Diamond Factor Vault and brought out Miss Angela, and she started talking about cannabis and how basically you can use it as a business. As you know, it's a new thing now about cannabis, but doing it the right way, looking at it as a business plan and making it a business in your life so you can, basically help others and make money. A lot of times cannabis helps health-wise in a lot of areas. It really does. You can put it in food and everything to help you if you're having pains in certain areas and stuff. And I've learned that through Angela. I was like, wow, I didn't think of it. Like, see, you don't know what you don't know. And when people start teaching you and telling you things and you're getting that knowledge, you're like, wow, that just opened my eyes. That just opened the door. So we had her on. Then after that, we did a little bit of technology experience, but that's good because we lived and learned. And then we brought on Mrs. Cheryl Ivan. She came on and she talked about fitness and fabulous, and she's looking her fitness and fabulous. So, I mean, I was looking at her. I was like, I just cannot believe that this woman is in her 70s. I was like, really? Really? I mean, see, that just tells you right there. That's what gives me hope. That's what tells me I need to do some things. So when I get to that next level in my age group, that I want to look fabulous at 60. I'm in my mid 50s now. And I was like, yeah. And she was talking about them. It was funny because she was talking about them pains. And I was like, Dad, I do got a lot of pain in my back. And then when the doctor told her that she wouldn't be able to go shopping or wash dishes or whatever in one day, oh my God, it's like taking somebody's and say, taking that balloon and you pop the balloon with the pin and it goes. I mean, it just took that all the oomph out of that. I am so glad she didn't listen. So important about words. Words are powerful, and she didn't listen to those words. She said, "No, there's something better for me. I know you're a doctor. I get it. I'm trying to respect you here, but there's something better for me because you told a lot of negative and you expressed a lot of negativity in my life, and I'm not gonna let you do that. You're not gonna do that." And she took she took a stand, became that warrior, as she said, and she moved forward and she got herself together with everything. And now she's teaching other ladies how to be self-defense. Look at your physical being and your mental health and everything. So thank you, Cheryl, for coming on. Thanks for everybody to being on the long version of the Diamond Factor Experience show. And we will be back tomorrow morning. I'll be having another guest coming on. And not telling you, it's a surprise. I like giving surprises. And we'll probably go through the Diamond Factor Vault again to bring up some other interviews that I've done with some ladies that I will have be playing tomorrow. But with that, as I always say, always, always, always remember, I stress about PPD, your purpose, your passion, and your drive. And some people ask me, they're like, Barbara, you always say PPD. What's going on with that? And I always tell people, do you like what you do? Can you do something that you love all day and don't even think about the time going by or if you get paid for it or not? Are you doing something that's just an urging inside of you that oozes out when you express yourself? That is part of finding out your purpose. Do you have those tools that you know you could just close your eyes and do them in your sleep? That you just want to just do them and help others with it, with your gift? Do you have the urge that when you wake up in the morning and say, oh, that just feels good on me? Like just putting on your clothes, your purpose. I'm putting on my purpose. And then with that, what gets the gas going, what gets it motivated, that's pushing it, is the passion of it. Your purpose can go through phases. And I want to let everybody know that. Some people think that, oh, I have this one purpose. And some people do. They have this one person all through life. They knew that was their purpose and they love it and it's their passion and they drive through it all the time. But then you have others that, okay, I had a purpose when I was in my 20s, I'm doing this, but I'm changing up a little bit. Still have the same mind frame of that purpose, but since I'm growing into certain things, I know I can use that purpose in other areas in life. And that's what people do. That's what I did. I started off in just being in insurance when I was younger. Now I'm speaking. I've been an author a few times. I'm doing this show. I'm really honing in on the social media world so women can get through it, and somewhere down the line they can understand what platform they should be on. But that was different. Same type of purpose of wanting to help and be there especially for women, but I changed it up a little bit. And that's okay. That's why we go through this life and we go through our valleys of highs and lows, because we're learning and growing every single minute of the day. And then the drive, I always create the drive part of the PPD, is that when not looking back at your past and say, woe is me, I'm a victim now, not doing that at all. Because some people get that confused when I say going back in your past, but going back to see what golden nuggets that you learned through your low valleys. Because you take those stories of your drive, of those low valleys, so you can express that to others and say, look, I was here and it was rough and it hurt and I cried and I didn't complain. All that was there. But guess what? I bounced from that. There was a change. It was a breakthrough. And through that, I'm here now. And guess what? You could do the same thing. That's why I call your stories or your drive, because it drives you to help other people understand you're here, but you can get here. You might be here, but you can get here. You might be here all broken up, but you could be here. Just felt good. Just straighten it up this way, just like that. So that's why you use it. And I put that together as your PPD in life. So I want to explain it. I want to do more of that because I know a lot of times people be like, I'm just trying to figure it out and stuff like that. And I tell people, I said, are you really searching for your purpose? Or are you just kind of just saying, I don't know. I don't know what it is. And you got to admit to yourself that if you're not really searching for it. So that will be another show because I feel myself teaching, and I want to make sure that we end the show for today. But I just want you to remember your PPD, how important it is for you and for others. And I want you to always note too that you have some special gifts in you, and I call it the Diamond Factor. I call it the Diamond Factor. So remember, as you go through today and the next day and the next day, that I want you to shine your gifts, shine your geniuses that's in you to others, because others need that. I kept Cheryl's information down on purpose because I want you to reach out to that lady. She has so much that she offers. And I know that you will love working with her, becoming either her client or her business partner. With that said, we will see you tomorrow. You take care. Bye.